Hi, this is Tony James, creator of Star Noir. You can find me on Twitter at T/J, phonetically spelled out, and you're watching and listening to Two Geeks Talking.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Two Geeks Talking is an entertainment industry interview show where we interview the creative people from the comic, film, TV, movie, and video game industries. And of course, I'm your host, Kurt Sasso. We are joined today by a returning guest. He brought aliens, LA Noir style mystery, murder mysteries, cops, robbers, corruption. He basically brought everything but the kitchen sink the last time he was on. But we are joined by the ever talented Tony James with an epic mustache of epic proportions there. This is beautiful. Like I'm in jealousy and awe at the same time. This is incredible. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for complimenting my mustache. I work very hard on it. Almost as hard as I work on the actual comics that I make.
Well, you have to have balance in your life, between waxing and comic writing. So there you go.
Yes.
For those that don't know anything about yourself as a creative person, tell us who you are and what you're bringing to Two Geeks Talking today.
I am Tony James. I am the creator, the writer of a book called Star Noir, about a 1940s detective who teams up with a gray alien to stop a shapeshifter from killing LAPD officers in Central Station. Very LA Noir meets the X-Files. There's 6 books in this murder mystery series. We successfully raised we had 2 successful Kickstarters and 1 successful Indiegogo for the first and second book. And now we are doing a second chance campaign for the second book for people who missed the Kickstarter.
Everything funded, but because you wanted to reprint or get more prints out there, you did a second campaign.
Oh no, it's really just how it started. The habit started was after we did the Kickstarter for the first book. I would get a lot of emails from people saying, "Hey, I missed the Kickstarter. Like, is there any way I can kind of jump in?" And then it was like, "All right, well, why don't we just open up an Indiegogo, and then we'll set it low so we can use the in-demand feature. That way, if anybody misses the Indiegogo, they can find and they can jump in, and I can send them books, no problem." So, the same thing happened with the second Kickstarter for book 2. Been getting a lot of messages after people wanting to jump in, and so that's why we did the Indiegogo, so people could, jump on board and go along for this ride with us.
Do you have a print on demand? Is that how you're getting your books published? Like, what is the style of your business for this comic series?
No, we do offset printing. So I have I have boxes of books that I take with me to conventions. Yeah, it's just easier all around. It's just ultimately the most cost effective. And then yeah, because of the in-demand feature on Indiegogo, somebody sees like a YouTube video with me in it, or however they find it, and then they're able to just get it, and then 2 days later, it's in the mail for them to go get it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You're better than Amazon.
Well, I'm working on it. If I can get the Amazon prices, I think I'll be their direct competitor.
That's great to hear. Book one was a huge success. Book two is now coming out. First off, who are the characters and their journey from book one, what happened there, into now book two that everyone should be really excited about.
Star Noir follows the story of Alan Miller, or yeah, Alan Miller. Sorry, I got confused with my own character's name. Alan Miller. He's a homicide detective. He's in his mid 40s. He's had some tragedy in his life, and he's currently having nightmares about being abducted by UFOs. One morning, he gets a call that a traffic detective named Patrick Perkins has been brutally murdered on the 6th Street Bridge, and the only leads he has, the only evidence that there is obviously Patrick Perkins's body, which is missing a heart, and an abandoned Studebaker Starlight with a lot of blood inside. And he's kind of hit a wall with his leads. Can't really figure out what's going on. And then he's met in the middle of the night by a gray alien who tells him that a shapeshifter is the one that killed Perkins and is currently masquerading as one of Alan's fellow officers. Alan tries to brush this off as no big deal, and then the next day finds the alien that visited him talking to his captain. He barges in and sees a very short, young, human-looking detective. And then later in private, this human-looking detective tells him, "Yes, I am secretly the alien. Everybody else except you can see my alien form, and we are going to team up, and we're going to figure out who is this shapeshifter." And meanwhile, while this is all happening, Alan's fellow officers are getting picked off one by one. So in the first book, it's really trying to kind of, establish the world and set up this conflict and get these two partnered up. And now that they're partnered up, we're really off to the races. This second book really kind of blows the doors off. Alan, I would say in the first half, he's kind of in the last gasp of trying to dismiss all of this alien activity. It's just nonsense, just stuff that he sees in his head. And when he has a particular encounter with a lounge singer, it really tells him that it is the real deal. And so they really kind of dive deep into 1940s Los Angeles, trying to uncover not just other aliens, but their big shapeshifter that they're trying to stop from killing their officers.
It almost sounds like this should be like a Men in Black like prequel or something like that, but before anything else starts, because just has that awesome feel to it where you've already expanded the world. You have 6 issues already in mind, if not already written down and completed.
Yeah, fully written.
See, that's even better. So you're ready to go. So you could just start doing a Kickstarter campaign like every 6 months to a year and just get it all done. But you have to wait for your artist, I'm sure.
Yes, sure. Yeah, if I kind of say all the time, if I could have all the books this year, like that'd be great. Because I have other stories to tell in this world. I have other series to tell. But yes, good things take time.
Talk about your team. Is it the same team this time around? And who are these amazing people that are helping support create this vision?
I am blessed with an amazing art team. They are the same art team for book two as they were for book one. We have Pablo de Bonis from Argentina. He is my God, he is just an amazing talent. I mean, his use of perspective, the way he kind of takes my ideas and really runs with it, and adds such a big scope to 1940s Los Angeles to make the reader feel that they're really in this setting is just incredible. I mean, everything he sends me, even from like the really initial rough sketches where we're basically just trying to block out the scene, those look amazing. So it's been really easy to work with him. We are both on the same wavelength when I kind of pitch kind of the horror and the intensity of a particular scene. He just absolutely nails it. I mean, there is very little difference between how I envision the scene and how he actually draws it. Vinicius Townsend, who is our awesome colorist, he is from Brazil. He just I don't know, he just has this really great kind of vintage style that he kind of brings to Pablo's art. And it makes the book really feel like it is of the time. And his color theory is just like he's just a master at it. It's just off the charts. I mean, when I give notes, it's always about like very minor things that I think most people wouldn't even care about. Also very easy to work with, also a master of what he does. And then of course we can't forget about Marco Ventura. He is our letterer. And he's just like the sweetest guy ever. I mean, he's a writer in his own right. He makes comics about his own cats, and it's really a funny juxtaposition of like he kind of does these silly kind of childlike comics with his cat, but then does this kind of like gritty dark murder mystery that is Star Noir.
That's awesome. It's such a beautiful book. Like just looking at the panels that you have on your campaign, which we haven't even mentioned the fact that we have an Indiegogo campaign specifically. Mm-hmm. And let's ask the question, where can we find the Indiegogo campaign? How long is it on for? When does it end?
Okay, so you can find it on either my Instagram or my Twitter. You find that either there, or you could really just go to Indiegogo and search Star Noir Book Two. It'll pop right up. We're over 60% to the goal that we need. Not much more ground left to make up. Once we cross the goal, it'll be in demand, and so you could be a listener who grabs it 6 months from now. It'll be a benefit to you because it'll get to you quickly.
You're pre-Amazon days, right?
Yes.
You're the next Amazon. Sorry.
At a much smaller artisanal scale.
Well, you're also, you have better hair and a mustache compared to Bezos, so
yes,
just looks like a bald cue ball. But
yes, is Lex Luthor.
Looking at yourself as the writer that you are, what's a lesser known or surprising aspect about the comic writing process, I should say, that fans might find intriguing?
Writing song lyrics is the hardest thing to ever do, and it's way harder than dialogue and conflict. I mean, you're trying to convey a music and rhythm in a medium that does not have that. So when I was working on the second book, our one of our supporting characters, Stella Belafonte, we're introduced and she does a musical number for 2 pages. And I was just kind of blown away by how unbelievably difficult it was to try to convey rhythm. I mean, we started it with we started using like the Lauren Bacall. She does a musical number in The Big Sleep. And so we tried to kind of start with that rhythm, and then make our own lyrics that kind of like fit that. But then it's like you have to pace the rhythm of the song like per panel. And you really, you can't have like big chunks of lyrics in a panel. It has to kind of have a rhythm and flow and even work with like the page terms. So yeah, it's way harder than just dialogue and conflict.
Yeah, and the fact that it's still, you're looking at the beautiful characters, you're looking at the designs as well too. You're looking at the fact that you're half reading the song, and you can't hear the music really. It's
Yeah.
just one of those things where you're like, this is really cool, but we're such a visual like race where we have to see it, we have to hear it, we have to taste the music, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But you have great characters, so the visuals of that character, of that Belafonte character, is just incredible. Like it's in your title image when people look at it, like just a little small glimpse of it. But
I really like that character. She's I mean, she's a supporting character, but I mean, she's really, really fleshed out. I mean, like all the other characters in the book are. But yeah, her story, by the time you're done with it, I mean, she's just like a well-rounded character.
the purple eyes are a nice touch too. I like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's her tell that she might have something a little deeper going on with her.
It's genetics, really. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Can you recall a particularly memorable fan encounter, either at a comic convention or maybe through email, in regards to the Star Noir series that just brightened your day?
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, I love when everybody tells me that they can't wait for the Netflix show. That is very flattering. But when I was halfway through funding the second book on Kickstarter, I was a little nervous about making my goal. And so I expressed it in my mailing list to the readers. And they really really stepped up and showed me that right now Star Noir is bigger than me and this art team. Like they have a vested interest in having the series continue. It was almost one of these moments of like, well, I don't think you understand, Tony. Like the series is going to continue because we demand that it continues. So I was really, really flattered by that. It gave me a lot of comfort. And yeah, I have so much respect for the readers because of that.
Do you think this will be your lasting legacy decades down the road?
I don't think it'll. I don't. I have other books, and I think when you see those, I think you'll see that Star Noir was just really the tip of the iceberg. But I think it'll be absolutely be a highlight. It'll make the highlight reel for sure of my writing career.
So we'll see a 30-second short about your back in the day. I used to do this, and this, and then now I'm working on like Star Wars or something.
You'll see me standing on a set next to the car that's on the Sixth Street Bridge, and me just going like, "How did I even get here? Like what?"
So, what other genres do you like to write, and what is the rest of the iceberg that we haven't seen from you yet?
Well, I would say that a common theme with me is sci-fi. And mixing sci-fi with another genre, whether it is a Western or whether it's cyberpunk. I really love the challenge of taking kind of the bombastic nature of sci-fi and fitting it into an established genre that we're all really familiar with. So I think you'll see more mixed genres from me going forward. There's a new book that I'm working on right now that we'll see a Kickstarter for probably over the summer. And yeah, I think you'll see it again. It's sci-fi mixed with another genre. I think you guys will be very excited when you see it.
Can you hint at the title, or are you
Yeah, it's called Reloader. It's it's a remake of a book that we made back in like 2015. Just life pulled the whole art team, including myself, apart. And then I went on to like make Star Noir. And then it was like, oh, hey, what about that book that we were doing before? Like there was a lot of great ideas. It was very compelling. The book we ended up with was actually very entertaining. And so now we kind of, since it's a love letter to video games, we just thought it would be really funny to kind of go, well, we'll just call it a remake, like they're doing with all the video games. Like it'll just be like very fitting for what we're doing. And so we're gonna do the first two books together. We're gonna do a double issue, to kind of really kind of remake the first book and really show you like where it was headed. Because again, like Star Noir, that whole story is written as well. Like we knew exactly what we were trying to do, and yeah, it was just life that pulled us all apart. And now we're going to get back on the horse, and tell the story again.
In this case, it's like the pandemic didn't tear you guys apart. It's just life.
Yeah, it's just yeah. Some people got really amazing job opportunities. Like I, was dealing with a lot of personal stuff in my life. Yeah, so I think it's just really exciting to really go back to that story, and it's just pure cyberpunk. Like it's just, anytime I would read something like Snow Crash or Neuromancer, or even something more recent like Ready Player One, like I always felt like, this is a really great interpretation of cyberpunk, but as somebody who's a lifelong gamer, I felt that their depiction of virtual reality just wasn't quite there. It didn't really speak to my generation of a gamer. So what we're doing, is we are trying to kind of do something in the same vein as those really classic cyberpunk books, but we're trying to tell a modern depiction of what virtual reality is, even though the book is like to set this takes place in the far future.
So, what is it about the cyberpunk authors like Philip K. Dick and William Gibson that are so timeless for you as a creative person?
There's like a rawness to those books. It's almost like they wrote the books with a chip on their shoulder. Like there's this like, the punk aspect of the cyberpunk. Like I really feel it. It's like trying to go against the grain. It's got stuff to talk about, like, the system. It's all bringing us down, and just seeing characters, like a Neuromancer, the main character, just being like addicted to virtual reality. Um, yeah, I just love like the raw like punk emotion that is underlying, the entire vision. And I'm definitely trying to do that with Reloader.
In regards to whatever you've created, this is for like your entire creative life so far. Are there any specific themes or messages in your creative writing and your comics that you feel are often overlooked or misunderstood by comic readers?
I don't think so, because I don't think my books are really there to kind of teach, lessons, or have kind of like a moral code that a reader's supposed to come away with. What it is trying to just, tell an authentic journey for the character for the main character, and have and really kind of tell their change arc, in full circle. That, when you're done with the story, you go, okay, I got a real great sense of who that character was. I watched them take this transformation, and by the end of their story, they are the polar opposite of how we started, and we watched them earn their moments. We watched them to go through struggles. And yeah, I think there is more value to that other out. I think there's more value to that than just trying to have like a moral code in every book.
Is that how you prioritize your well-being and your self-care when it comes to being a creative person?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm always trying to evolve. I don't think I am in my final form. I'm always trying to read. I'm trying to get better at meditation. I'm better, trying to get better at handling all the curveballs that life throws at you. And yeah, I think where I relate to those characters that I write the most is that, you know, I embrace change, and I feel like there always is a better version of me down the road.
So, in terms of working with the various collaborators that you've had in your career so far, do you learn anything new that helps you as a creative person, whether it's writing or whether it's from the art form?
Yeah, I mean, when I work with an artist, it and see their style and see their visual choices, it informs my scripts. It tells me, okay, let's adjust the script to fit with their art style and their sensibilities. Like with Pablo, he likes really big dynamic shots. Like I do something that is really just intended to be a very straightforward, establishing kind of shot and he wants to, take this big lens on it, show various people walking back and forth, all these little characters who are like kind of sitting at tables or talking to one each other, and it's like that none of that is in the script. Like I just wanted like, hey, let's just show the crime scene like however you want to show it. And so when going forward with especially with book two, now that I know that he likes to do these types of panels, I adjust, adjust some of these panels to go like, okay, I know he's going to do this big shot. So like, why don't we just pitch him some ideas of some of like the side things that little strangers are doing in the corners and stuff like that. Because the goal with me when working with an artist is that I just want to give them like a fastball right down the middle so that they can drive it 400 yards. And that's really the goal every time. And if I can make it easier for them to just do what they do, we're great. We're in business.
So, what have you learned from sci-fi films, TV series that keeps you up to date with not only the visual style of comics, but also gives you new ideas and concepts you haven't tried yet?
Well, I think with sci-fi, I the thing that appeals to me about sci-fi the most is the ability to make the implausible plausible. Star Trek is famous for doing this. And I think what kind of keeps me up to date is everything that kind of happens in real life. What our fears are. I mean, Reloader, the cyberpunk comic, that part of it is our fears of technology and what we perceive is sort of our dystopian end, and is it our dystopian end? And Yeah, I just love examining kind of our current fears, and putting that into my books. I mean, Star Noir is just it's fear of, it's just a total top to bottom fear of the unknown, like whether it is aliens or looking over your shoulder at your fellow detectives and wondering like which one of these guys can I actually trust.
What about the whole AI concept of not only the art side of things, but writing and creative process of AI in the creative field? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not too worried about that. I have always maintained that I think that as technology improves, we as human beings will always, in some capacity, will want human stories told by humans for humans. And I think AI, I think its flaw is that, and it'll be a flaw for a very long time, is that it will always be an imitation.
Hmm.
And it's just like, they in baseball they have the full technology to have automated strike zones and no umpires. They can do that now, but it's played by humans, so let it be ruled by humans. Like let human umpires call the shots. And I just feel like, with storytelling, I feel like that's the same thing. I feel like in the future there will be a category for AI. Like once it goes through all its trial and tribulations, once once it's eventually accepted into culture, I think it'll just be a category, like like the really bad movie category, where it's just like, okay, this is something if you just want to like, turn your brain off and just watch something entertaining. But if you want like real literature, like real stories that will kind of move you and inspire you, I think those will still be made by humans.
I'm just waiting for the Academy Awards to have the AI category.
Oh, that's coming. I mean, it'll be a while, but I definitely see that in the future.
And in terms of your baseball reference, as long as the game isn't umpired by Angel Hernandez, we're fine.
Oh my God, you know him too. Oh my goodness, yeah, it's
He's screwed over the Tigers more than any other umpire in history, including the no hitter by Galarraga that didn't become a no hitter. So
it's like that meme from Predator where they're with the muscly handle and muscly
yeah, yeah,
hand clasp,
yeah,
and it's like all baseball fans just united over Angel Hernandez. So like, yeah, every baseball fan doesn't like him.
yeah. Well, the Tigers aren't doing that great anyhow, so they won't be good for a long time.
I
Oh,
think I think the Tigers. There's been kind of a recent theme with baseball where teams that have been like, haven't had championships in a long time or have never had championships, um they just like in the last 10 years maybe, like we're just like, oh, what's a team that is like not had like big success for a long time, and it's like, well, now it's your year. We're watching it with the Orioles right now.
oh,
So I feel like the Tigers, I feel like it's a matter of when. And I really think that when is sooner than later.
I think personally that the Major League Baseball will never give Detroit a championship ever.
I
I
I
think only because they had a span of 6 years in the early 2000s to get that done,
mhm.
and because of the Cardinals and because of McGuire and that whole situation, and every time Detroit does well, no matter what sport it is, and I've tracked it like from the 80s to current days, whenever a good Detroit team does really well, all other teams suck. There's only
Mm.
ever been a chance where there's been 2 to 3 teams out of the 4 that have done extremely well.
No, I mean, well, listen, it was exciting to watch the Lions do what they did this last season. That was amazing.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
you had me tuning into like games that like I didn't even really care
Yeah,
about just to watch the Lions do their thing.
yeah.
So that was really exciting. But yeah, I think sports just has like an ebb and flow to it. I think teams that are at the bottom eventually find their way to the top, and then the teams that are on the top, they find a way. Listen, as a Yankee fan, I've watched them at the top, and
Oh
now
yeah.
they're just right at the bottom. Like,
The Yankees have a hell of a division to deal with. I mean, you got Toronto, Boston, New York,
yeah.
Baltimore. That's one of these stacked AL divisions out there. I mean, Detroit's in a shitty division where it's just like, hey, let's put all the crappy teams in the Midwest together, sorry, Central together,
Yeah.
and have at it. It's like, oh, great, you're dealing with Minnesota or Chicago or whatever. Yeah, have
Yeah.
fun. Oh, you want to make it to the playoffs? Yeah, sure, go for it. You won't make it past the first round, but hey, enjoy the increased ticket prices.
But I tell you what, the year that the Tigers go on a playoff run, that's going to be some must-watch baseball.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
tell you that. I'll be tuning in for sure. Yeah, I've been there for many a heartbreak with the Yankees. It's frustrating because that team like spends the money on great players and then they just forget how to play as amazingly as you see in the highlight reel, and you're like, okay, all right.
that's true. Is there anything I haven't asked you want me to ask you about? Like, do you want to dive into the campaign itself in terms of what perks you have?
Here's our second chance campaign. Doing pretty well for ourselves. Indigo's got this weird thing where you got to like scroll to the bottom to get the tiers, and then it like filters in. Tell new readers if you're very curious to see what all the fuss is about with Star Noir. Right under the cover here, you can click this link and you can go and read the first 9 pages of book one totally free, no questions asked. And if you are very interested in jumping into Star Noir, these are the 2 tiers that you should be looking for. The setup right here is a digital only tier. If you just want to read it on your phone, you'll get the first 2 books, which great. What's good about this tier is that if you're like very excited to read it, as soon as this campaign closes, I'll send you the link. You'll actually get to read the first book very quickly. This other tier right below it, the White Shoe Slang, this is the physical tier. It also comes with digital copies if you still want that sort of thing. This will give you books 1 and 2. This is over 90 pages of story. You're getting a lot for your dollar. I would say if you're a new reader, definitely check out one of these 2 tiers. That'll hook you up. If you want to read the first 9 pages without spending a dime, that's right here for you. You can do that very easily. No commissions. Yeah, here's the Stella Belafonte song lyrics that were really, I mean, it looks great, but those lyrics were really hard to, I was pulling my hair out trying to figure the scene out. If you are getting a physical tier, there's this print right here.
Yep.
That is a panel from book one. I will put that with your order. If you get any physical tier that you want, I will put that in with your order.
And you don't have to say you would you like fries with that.
No, it'll just come in as a thank you for being a new reader.
Great series. I really want to know what's going to happen in issue 3, 4, 5, and 6. The fact that you have it all completely written, there's no real waiting other than the artwork. So I really think that's a huge plus in your favor
Yeah.
because it just adds value to what you want to create.
Yeah, and the story, it gets a lot crazier. I mean, the way the second book ends is like your jaw will be on the floor. I mean, like all of the issues, like all the subsequent issues after the first book, it really escalates. It's really, I mean, the second book, I confidently can say tops what we did in the first book. So if you've read the first book and you're like, hey, was that just like a one-off? And you're like, nope, the second book it's really going to show you that like there's a full murder mystery that is worth diving into. No, I like to tell people that I have other obsessions.
Besides baseball and comic
Yeah.
writing and writing in general, what else are you obsessed about that is healthy that we should know about?
I'm obsessed with spatial awareness puzzles. I don't know if you've heard of a game like Talos Principle. That's probably a very famous one. Portal is a very
Oh
famous
yeah, okay.
spatial awareness puzzle. Yeah. Just you're in a your character in a room, and you're trying to figure out how to get out, and you're trying to kind of. What I love about those is that it really just flexes my creativity and divergent thinking, and some of those puzzles across multiple games are very very challenging, and kind of trying to figure out my way out of those. I think it's really helpful, especially if you're like a creator, and I think you want to like kind of work the divergent thinking muscle in your brain. Playing spatial awareness games is huge. So I'm very passionate about those games. Shout out Talos Principle, shout out Portals, Manifold Garden. Yeah, there's countless games that do that.
What about now? I'm definitely dating myself with this game. I don't know if you've played it or not. It might be hard to find, maybe not. Mist.
I tried playing Mist. I just thought it was very quiet. It's just too quiet for me. Like they remade it. So I was like I was playing it on Game Pass. And I got through like the first bit, and I was just like, yeah, this is like amazing. Like for sure. Like the atmosphere of that game is incredible. It just like it really was just purely subjective. Like this particular game does not like speak to me. And now they have a VR version of it. So if you want to
Jeez,
you want to put some VR goggles to do Mist, like
no, that's okay. I had more than enough fun pointing and clicking on a mouse with that type of game. No, I've been big into Baldur's Gate 3 more recently. Just
oh
that
yeah,
type of just the dialogue and the development, and it's crazy. Like I spent too many hundreds of hours in many games like that. So I'm more of an
yeah,
RPGers.
yeah. That's great. Yeah, I love my fair share of RPGs like Mass Effect. I think that's an
Oh,
incredible game.
although
Had a lot of fun with
crappy
that. Yeah,
ending, but you know.
it's a tough ending. It's funny, we in Reloader, like at the final issue of Reloader, that first arc, we do a Mass Effect joke about the ending. It might be a little dated, but it makes sense in the context of the story. But yeah, that's just kind of like we do a little cheeky Mass Effect ending joke.
I have three colors I have to go towards. I can only choose one, and they all suck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great content, not only in your comic creation, but I think there's a lot of great information that people are going to enjoy with whatever you create. You're always welcome back on the show here, Tony. I can't wait to talk about your different genres when you come back on for your other stories once you get to actually, you know, put those out to the masses and the public.
Mhm.
So please come back anytime here. And at that particular phrase, I'm going to say that ends this episode of Two Geeks Talking. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Before I let you go, where can we find you? How can we support you? Of course, where is this amazing comic and anything else you'd like to promote?
Okay, Star Noir is on Indiegogo. You can search on Indiegogo Star Noir Book 2. It'll pull it right up. There's no other Star Noirs that exist on that platform right now. That's very easy to find. As far as social media, you can find me on Twitter at T/J, on Instagram at Banana Bat, like the fruit Banana Bat. Yeah, and there's just like a whole cavalcade of artwork that we show from Star Noir on both of these platforms. It's also an easier way to find the direct link to the Indiegogo. Yeah, that's me. That's my whole life right now. It's just making Star Noir until Reloader gets here.
Well, like I said, that ends this particular episode of Two Geeks Talking. You can, of course, find this interview and 1,200 plus others on our website, tgtmedia.com or twogeekstalking.com. That's TWO. Website is quite literally going through a complete rebuild, so it's kind of functioning, not quite. But go to our YouTube channel. That is definitely always updated, youtube.com/TGT Media. The podcast is at twogeekstalking.podbean.com, or just search Two Geeks Talking wherever you get your podcasts. And as I say every week, everyone has a story to tell. It's up to me to help bring that out. Thanks for listening and watching on Two Geeks Talking.